Thanks, guys, very much. You know, spring is just about in full bloom here in Cleveland, and, well, it seems that we should take some time to take a reflect back on the winter that was. Or if you lived here in Cleveland for a long time, you're probably wondering where it was. Get this, just 1 year after the snowiest winter in Cleveland, we experienced literally the complete opposite. Snowfall totals well below average, and even the third warmest January on record. So the question now is, why did we go from one extreme to the next? Well, to answer that question, we decided to bring in a professional. Joining me right here in the WKYC weather studio is meteorologist and JCU graduate, Hollie Strano. Hollie, thanks for joining us today.
It's good to be here.
I'm going to start with the obvious. Is there any explanation for all this?
It's a good question, and I think everyone would love an answer to it, but my honest answer to it is no. It's the way weather works, and I think that if you look back as early as records were taken, you're going to find those fluctuations even in years past.
Really?
Yes.
Now, I mean, I did some research here, and I was looking at some of the past totals that I got from the NOAA, looking at like 0203, 95.7, still way above average.
Right.
0304, a little bit less, but 91.2, still a lot. Last year, 117.9, which is
impressive.
Which is the record.
Especially for us in the snow belt.
Yeah, more than I've ever seen growing up.
Yeah.
But as of March 30th, 50.2. Now we can say the average is what, about 63, I think.
Roughly.
So just like it's literally half, not even half of last year. I mean, now I have heard something about weather phenomenon La Nina out in the ocean. Could that have played an effect on this?
Gosh, yes, absolutely. And I was going to bring that in. I think a part of the La Nina and El Nino equation is that we now know about those, and we've had time to research them. We're still learning about them, but the La Nina factor is when you've got the cool water in the Pacific, and it not only changes weather here in the United States, and specifically Ohio, but all over the world. So we deal with warmer than average winters in some cases, and in other spots it's wetter, and they're dealing with mudslides on the West Coast and all kind of crazy weather that way. And then years where you have El Nino in place and it's the exact opposite, you could be dealing with more snow and just the opposite conditions that we've had. So yes, I do think that it plays a really big factor. As far as, are these new? No, we just know about them now. We're starting to learn about them, is my opinion. And really, weather is such an educated opinion. I mean, it's just every day. I don't think we're ever going to know it all, and if we do, I'd be afraid. But I do think that, looking back, because even if you do look back to say, this goes back to 1969, in the season of 81 and 82, we had over 100 inches of snow. And in 83 and 84, we had not even 40 for the season. So, you could find these patterns, and if you match them up with the La Nina episodes and El Nino, it does work.
Yeah, that's one thing I did notice. Like as the years went by, sometimes you had a couple years of way over average, and then all of a sudden it just drops significantly.
Well, and it's all kind of relative too, because I think it's real easy to say, boy, don't you remember when we were little and the snow would be up to here,
Yeah.
And it hasn't happened like that, but sure it does. It's kind of all relative to the way you remember.
Now going back to last year, of course, the big
snow year.
Everything. Did that give any early indication as of next year, as of this snow season? Like, would it be another bad year?
This year, would it be another bad year?
As in the one we just had,
interestingly enough, forecasts were out that we would have a bad winter. They didn't hold true, thankfully. We did, but the National Weather Service and other sources like Farmer's Almanac, which they base their forecasts on things like sunspots and tides and moon phases, and so it's whatever you want to. Sure, it's a fun source. It's fun to look at. I mean, I don't know how much you want to base scientifically on that kind of thing, but as far as the National Weather Service goes, they do put out extended forecasts. But again, it's more for trends than it is like it's going to snow this many inches, because there's just no way to forecast 6 months, 8 months, a year in advance. There's no way. I mean, it's hard enough for a 5-day, to be quite honest, let alone.
Yeah, I find that really interesting. Like the Farmer's Almanac, I read it over the summer before I came here, and they were saying like, oh yeah, it's going to be much colder than normal, and snow's going to be really, really heavy.
Yeah, not to, I mean, the Farmer's Almanac is all fun and good, but they have their own equation, which they don't give out to the public, and it's based on these sort of astronomical things.
Yeah.
So it's different than meteorology.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a bit different kind of a science in there. So two different.
Yeah, a little different.
Well, knowing that here in Cleveland, like here we had one extreme to the next. I mean, I've lived here for about 8-9 months now, so I've kind of seen different weather changes, especially even where I'm from. I mean, is this unusual? Like, can this happen in other places, one extreme to the other?
Well, is it unusual for Cleveland? No. Would it be unusual for other places like, say, Phoenix? Yes. We are, I think, very unique. It's one of the reasons I love it here so much. I mean, granted, I grew up here, but the other thing is that we've got the lake. So it's a crazy part of our weather, not only in the winter with the snow, but also even in the spring. We get things like a lake breeze, and it keeps the lakeshore much cooler than areas inland, and we get thunderstorms off the lake. And so I think that adds to the forecast madness quite a bit. And also, we have just 4 distinct seasons here. Regardless of how harsh they are or how not, we still do. And so I think that, yeah, it's not unusual at all for here, but it really would be if you were talking to somebody
if you're
that wasn't accustomed to it.
Down in the Southwest,
Sure.
I mean, where they've got the same weather
Day
literally
in and
year
day
round.
out,
I mean, I've
yeah.
been to Hawaii,
Right.
and it's 80
Not
degrees
much
year
different.
round.
Although, great thing to bring up Hawaii, because this year they had record flooding.
Yeah,
I mean, in Oahu. And so it's a good example of how things like La Nina can really mess up. I mean, people vacationing Waikiki Beach were like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And just strange stuff can happen when things are out of whack.
Yeah, when I read about the La Nina thing, I've really put things into perspective a little bit. Like, I've always heard about El Nino growing up, and I never really knew what it did.
Yeah.
And like now I'm here, and with this, we didn't have a lot of snow, and I hear this. Like, it's just interesting to see like how cooling temperatures, cold,
in the ocean,
causes like a reverse effect here.
Yeah.
But then it probably does cause the same thing in other places.
Absolutely.
It's real interesting.
And we're still learning about it, so
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to continue to see the new research that comes in.
Now, before we end this here, I have one more question. It's a little bold of me to do this.
All right.
But your expert opinion.
Okay.
You probably have conversed with your colleagues about this.
Mr. Nolan, all the time.
Oh yeah. What can you say about next winter?
About next winter?
Yes. Your expert opinion.
You want to know what? Bad, good, below
Yeah.
average, above average?
What can you tell us about next winter? What can we expect?
I'm going to say to expect above average snowfall next winter.
Above average?
Slightly above. Not record breaking, slightly above.
Slightly above. You heard it here first, folks. Joe, keep a note of this tape. Because if she's
You gonna
wrong,
haunt me with it?
we're coming back here next year, and we're going to yell at her about this. But Holly, thanks very much.
It's
a
great to
pleasure
meet
to
you.
stay
Sure.
here. Great to be with you.
Hi, JCU.
And that's going to do it from here, from the Weather Center, WKYC Channel 3. I'm Chris Wanigat for the Carroll Insider.